Welcome back to this episode of Come Back to Nature. My name is Gareth Blakesley. I'm the director here at Katherine. And as the weather starts to shift a little bit, we want to remind people that we have lots of really cool things in the Nature Center. So if it's cold out and it's all a bit blustery, consider kind of meeting some of our animal friends that we actually have in here that are great educational things. They also help support our educational programs immensely. So if you sign up for one of our education programs, sometimes you can get to meet them as intimately as this. This little chap is our Western hognose snake. We actually have a permit to keep this one. He's actually one of those cool things that likes to eat amphibians, and he likes to bury himself pretty well into the ground. So if you look at his head there, it's slightly upturned at the base, and that kind of helps with burrowing through like sandy areas and soil, like that kind of stuff. So he's actually quite cool. He actually has these little fangs at the back of his jaw, and that actually helps with kind of like, dare I say, kind of piercing frogs and that kind of thing, because that's what he prefers to eat. We don't feed him that. He usually gets like little pinkies, which are frozen mice that are thawed out. That's what we kind of feed them. So, but he's a really cool snake that we love to kind of show. This one's actually interesting in that if it feels threatened, it will actually turn over and kind of fake being dead, almost like playing possum, which is kind of a cool thing to do. And sometimes they also regurgitate at the same time, which is also a very attractive thing. But usually it means that they're not going to get eaten by predators, because it's like if someone feigns death and then pukes up, it's not something you want to eat usually. But anyway, really cool snake. Luckily he's not doing that with me today. And we're going to meet some of our other animal friends here as well. This is Kevin. He's our ornate box turtle. Kevin isn't normally found immediately in this area, and he's actually slightly endangered. So we actually have a permit to actually keep him. And one of the reasons why he's not in the wild is he actually has a few issues. He has some eye issues, he has some beak issues, but other than that, he's pretty well covered. He's got some beautiful carapace on the back there. You can see that yellow patterning, and that's one of the ways you can tell that he's an ornate box turtle. But he's just one of the many turtles that we actually have on site. A lot of the other turtles, they don't actually need the same kind of permitting as him because they're not endangered, but we still need them to keep them in an educational institution. So we feed him a number of different foods and stuff like. He likes worms, likes different kind of things, gets different veggies, all that kind of good stuff. Basically, they're omnivorous, so they need as varied a diet as they possibly can get. So this one's one of our cool creatures, and we'll meet someone else in just a second. So these are our rabbits, Truffle and Grubbins. Well, the reason why we have these rabbits is they're really important to kind of like show a mammal to different people. So like when you have people come in here, you would need a special permit if you had an opossum or something like that. We don't need a permit for a domestic animal like the rabbits. And they're not rodents. They're lagomorphs, which is slightly different, which actually means they've got a slightly different tooth structure. And one of the key things that we have a lot of issues with people is they think they eat carrots. They do not eat carrots. It's not one of the main things. Timothy hay is one of the things they like to eat. A lot of this kind of food that we give them is a composite of all the nutrients they actually need. And one of the things we actually recommend, if people do have domestic rabbits at home, is to inoculate them against RHDV2, which is a certain kind of disease that goes around. And it's really important to kind of get your rabbits also vaccinated. I don't think that's something that people really think about. But people love these animals. We can take them out to the public. They kind of develop that empathy. But it's also a great way to kind of show like how mammals and warm-blooded creatures are and how they compare to our reptiles, how they compare to our snakes and amphibians, and how they are different. So it talks about animal adaptations and why they're pretty cool. So yeah, Truffle and Grubbins. This is one of our newest additions, Rosie, the rose-haired tarantula. People say, why do you have a tarantula? Yeah, that's a fair question. But it's been having a large spider that you can actually show people up front, so you can talk about how they're an arachnid, how they have 4 pairs of legs, how they have different kind of pedipalps. All this kind of stuff is a great way, and because it's a larger invertebrate, it's easier to show those than if you had a smaller spider. So we have Rosie. She's quite cool. She's a little scary for me, not for other people. But she's a great kind of creature to kind of show and like talk about how they produce their webs, which is a little bit different than regular webs, how they sometimes live in holes. They're obviously not found from this area, they're more from the southwest and that kind of stuff and further south. But it's still a great way, an example animal to show different people. Over here, we actually have some new additions as well. We have the blue death feigning beetles. And these are actually really kind of cool. They do feign death sometimes. They are blue. They're really quite cool. So we use these as a great example, like kind of showing people they're easy to show different, how it's a beetle, it's an insect, still an invertebrate, how it's very different than an arachnid. Showing those kind of things are very important to our education programs, because a lot of times people just throw them all in as bugs, and they're far more complicated than that. Beetles are actually one of the most diverse type of insects in the world, with more types of beetle than any other type of insects out there. So it's kind of a really kind of cool different thing to look at. So we also have a couple of other things. We have some millipedes and other different creatures around here. We have some Madagascar hissing cockroaches, which are all, again, a way of trying to show how cool these insects and invertebrates and arthropods actually are, and how they're all different and how they're kind of involved with different things. So check out some of our bugs. Well, this is going to be the last animal we introduced today. We do have plenty more animals. This is Clyde, our bull snake, and actually was donated to us by a couple that lives not far from here. Clyde is pretty much one of the most docile snakes that we've ever had here. Really great with the people. Bull snakes tend to be a little bit feisty, but as you can tell, Clyde is the least feisty snake that we've ever had. It's found a little bit further south than here. Really just a kind of a cool, beautiful snake. You can see the colorations on him, and it's amazing. We do feed them mice and rats as well, usually rats, and that keeps them strong, and you see how strong. They like me because I'm kind of like a warm tree trunk. They're like, oh, this is great. I can like hang out, stay warm, and do all my cool things as well. We do have, like, if you ever come here at different times, we have these cool skin sheds. So like every month or so, they'll shed their skin. We shed our skin all the time. Snakes don't do that. They shed their skin all like one big go. And what's kind of cool is if you actually look at them, you can sometimes see where their eyes were, because they actually have a scale over their eye, and they have to shed that so they can actually see. Otherwise, it's all cloudy. That's actually how we know they're about to shed, because their eye starts to cloud over a little bit once it comes off. And sometimes we actually have to, if they're having troubles, we have to sometimes peel that off their eye with like moisturizer and that kind of stuff to make sure they're actually okay. It's not moisturizer. But anyway, so come see us in the middle of winter. We've got wonderful lots of different animals here. We have some great programs where sometimes you get to meet the animals as well. Also enjoy our grounds throughout the winter. And we'll probably do another Comebacks to Nature outside once we get some snow on the ground, so you can enjoy all the cool things we have. So hopefully see you next time.